Congress strictly adhering to their promise under the Taxpayer Protection Pledge to oppose any increase in federal government tax revenues. Has that been as frustrating for you as it has been for many of us?
Of course.
And you, of course, know what that Taxpayer Protection Pledge is.
Well, that's Grover Norquist's pledge that you have to sign, right?
That's correct.
Well, I would point out to you one thing here. Our senior senator from Tennessee was heavily involved in the Inland Waterway Act, and it's my understanding that the various interests that are opposed to taxation became supportive once the revenue source was redesignated as a user fee.
So do
That's
you mean
the Inland Waterway Trust Fund funding.
So do you mean that there was an exception made to the Grover Norquist Taxpayer Protection Pledge that resulted in new revenues?
That's my understanding.
To the federal government? Well, I think that's a wonderful event that has occurred. I wonder if we can duplicate it. Do any of you other panel members have anything to say about the strict adherence that we've seen towards this taxpayer pledge, while looking, of course, at what was written out of our Constitution that our chairman put on the wall? It says, "The Congress shall have power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises." It doesn't say Grover Norquist shall have the power. What do you all think about that? And I see you raising your hand, Mr. Trunka.
Yeah, I think it's had an absolutely horrible effect on the competitiveness of this country. We get further and further behind every year because we're starved for revenue to be able to do the basic infrastructure that this country needs, let alone the infrastructure we need to transform us into the 21st century. If you have a house and the roof starts to leak on the house and you don't take care of it, it gets more and more and more and more expensive. The more we delay with infrastructure, the more and more and more and more expensive it gets, and the less and less and less competitive we get. I think we're all pretty much in harmony on the fact that infrastructure needs to be done now, and done at a very, very large scale.
And it's going to take increased revenues to do it right.
Absolutely. Well, and could I just add one other thing? I wanted to comment to Mr. Congressman Lewis when he said, "What's the biggest bang for your buck?" The best way to get the biggest bang for your buck is to get the lowest cost of capital for your buck. The lowest cost of capital spreads those bucks a lot further. And I will work with this committee to do that, to make sure that the funding source gets us the lowest cost of capital.
Well, I think that's important. I also want to talk about another factor in profitability for businesses, and it is this issue of worker productivity. And I want to ask you all whether or not you believe that having a satisfied, well-paid workforce contributes to productivity and profitability when it comes to your companies. And if so, then why would we support any measures that would hurt workers' ability to collectively bargain for issues that would create more productivity for workers?
So I agree that an engaged and happy workforce is critical to success. But I don't think that you have to have collective bargaining exclusively to achieve that. We've got about 70,000 workers in the United States, and some are union employees and some are not. And I think you can have engagement and productivity in both circumstances. So I don't think
shouldn't workers be able to choose whether or not they want to collectively bargain or not? I
think that's generally the case, is it not?
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't want to hurt that ability, would you?
I think you want to give people the opportunity to be well-informed and to be able to make the choice that they feel is best for them, yes.
Well, I think
Gentleman's
that
time's
is
expired.
common ground that we can all agree to, and I thank you all for being here today, and I thank the chair and the ranking member for having this hearing as our first hearing of this new session of Congress. It's so important. I also have a statement that I would like to introduce for the record.
Objection, so ordered.